On deck at mic 1 is Kelly Lebonsky.
Hello. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jacob Hartman. I'm at 1228 Anchor Ave in Beechwood. I'm a freshman at Toms River High School South. I am standing in front of you tonight to share not only my personal opinions and views on the Common Core state standards, but also to share with you what I've heard from many of my fellow peers and educators on this serious matter. However, I would first like to tell you a bit about myself. I've been programming in C++ since the age of 7. I'm also an active Eagle Scout at Troop 70 in Beechwood. And as well, I am part of High School South High Honor Roll program. To standing in front of you tonight took hard work and research, both skills that I've learned through all my hobbies and academics. Regarding the original topic, the Common Core, I spent these past 2 years researching these new standards and experiencing them every day in school. I paid very close attention to how the teachers actually teach and conduct themselves in regards to this new high-stakes test. In previous years, I do admit, my teachers have not been truthful about the impact of standardized testing. Some did tell us that state testing wasn't a big deal, and they demonstrated that it wasn't, but others were different. They told us that these scores would affect us later in life, and throughout the year, they gave us massive workloads unrelated to what we were supposed to be doing in class. Instead of having a student-focused learning environment, they pushed these exams as if it was the only thing that mattered during the school year. This caused an extremely stressful situation for my peers. I've seen firsthand how children of my generation act in regards with high-stakes testing and the park, and I've seen very unhealthy results and discourages my peers to pursue higher education. I know for a fact that not only are our universities not asking at admission what your scores were on one of these particular standardized tests, but that there are many reputable colleges and universities that allow for you to opt out of both SAT and ACT scores because they realize that this is not a true measurement of a student's future success in the world. I would also like to further elaborate on my interest in technology. For past 3 summers, I've enrolled in computer programming courses at Princeton University and have been more than successful in my ventures there. I'm more than positive that if I do decide to attend Princeton, they will not be asking me for my park scores. To summarize, our schools are pushing standardized tests which have no merit in the real world, and these tests are increasing stress in students who are learning non-classroom material, teachers who are teaching to the test, and parents who don't feel like they have the right to do what is best for their children. The park does one thing and one thing only, which maintains the status quo. But everyone is different. We all learn at our own pace and at different levels. The Common Core attempts to see us not as individuals, but instead have us conform to standards that are unrealistic and untested. I would also like to draw attention to the corruption of this situation, in which Pearson, the for-profit company which is producing the park exam, is under investigation by the FBI for a corrupt hierarchy, insider trading with Apple in a Los Angeles school district, and wrongful termination of their employees. Pearson is also on the verge of bankruptcy, with a 53% drop in their stock and their operating profit down 45% for the first 2 quarters of 2014. The Pearson Foundation, which is now closed, was forced to pay $7.7 million in fines to the New York State after it had broken state laws by generating business for the company unlawfully. I ask of you, this study commission, how can students and parents feel confident in a company that is not even meeting ethical standards and is corrupt? My thoughts and opinions are also shared by the local community and my peers. After creating and hosting an informative website, which is cc.jacobhartman.me, with details on the Common Core and Park, I've been approached by not only students and teachers, but even administrators and concerned parents who wish to learn more about this very important topic and how they too can have their voices heard. Judging by the turnout at this event and the past State Board of Education meeting, I think the consensus is very clear. Commissioner Hespy, put politics aside and try to remember what education is really about. Learning, not for-profit propaganda. Thank you.
Kelly Lebonsky at mic 1 and Carmela Van Horn at mic 2.
I'll try and keep this short. I am here today fighting for my children's lives. I say lives and not education because I view Common Core and everything attached to it, especially Park, as a threat to their future. The corporate and federal government takeover of education takes away the constitutional right of the states, local districts, and parents to be involved in the development of school curriculum. Every child is unique. Common Core, in theory, may sound good. Its ultimate goal of achieving 100% proficiency in math and ELA is the equivalent of yearning for world peace. I want world peace. You want world peace, and I'm sure everyone in this room wants world peace. But because diversity exists, we are all different in so many ways because of ethnicity, culture, religion, wealth or poverty, the existence of communism and other forms of despotism. That beautiful dream will not, nor can it be achieved. The same is true with education. You cannot try to impose a commonality among American children and expect it to work. Children are not robots that you can program and expect to perform certain tasks. A poignant quote from a bright young man named Jordan Barron, who is 14 years old and lives in Mahwah. A child is a living, breathing piece of clay that can be gently molded and encouraged to blossom into something great. How right is he? Before Park, you had NJ Ask, which provided lots of data to analyze. With that, you had teachers literally teaching to the test and pummeling kids with practice test after practice test for 6 to 8 weeks prior to that test. Now there is Park. My superintendent just last night said our district has spent upwards of $1 million to upgrade technology and purchase materials in order to accommodate a test. Why? This is insane. We have buildings in need of repair, elementary schools where children eat lunch at their desks, overcrowding in every school. Some elementary classes have 30+ students, yet someone thinks wasting millions on a test is a good idea. The initial cost of and continual technological upgrade cost of Park is unsustainable. The financial strain imposed on districts is ridiculous. The test itself is not the diagnostic tool that it is claimed to be. It is a mere data mining tool linked to the longitudinal data system that was mandated along with the Common Core in Race to the Top. Gathering test scores to analyze and use predictive technology to encourage students to take classes that match their intellectual tendencies is its ultimate goal. Children are more than test scores. This test doesn't even assess students at their grade level. Testing a 5th grader on 7th grade material is setting that child up for failure, unless he happens to be gifted. The 7th grade ELA practice content includes text from the Count of Monte Cristo. What 7th grade class do you know of has that as their required reading? This is just one example of its impropriety. There are many more. This test will be difficult for regular education students and nearly impossible for those in special education. So, what do we do What do we replace Common Core and Park with? Well, you can do one or two things. Go back to the old standards or start anew. And Dr. Sandra Stotsky has just what you need to do that. And in the packet that I gave you is a step-by-step process of what you can do to get quality ELA and math standards. I ask that you put the politics aside and abolish Common Core and Park. Thank you.
On deck at mic 1 is Andrew Paff.
My name is Carmela Van Horn. I went to college. I got a certified elementary school teacher. I own a preschool, and I teach at my preschool. And I have an 8th grade student at Chemung Indian Mills Middle School in Chemung, New Jersey. I have already refused for her to take the Park test. I want to begin with a quote from former Assistant Secretary of Education and current Professor of Education at NYU, Diane Ravitch, who is my hero. No other nation in the world has inflicted so many changes or imposed so many mandates on its teachers and public schools as we have in the past dozen years. No other nation tests every student every year as we do. Our students are the most over-tested in the world. No other nation, at least no high-performing nation, judges the quality of teachers by the test scores of their students. Dear associates, friends, family, and parents, today I stand before you to ask you to think long and hard about the direction in which our education system is headed. Specifically, I am here tonight to state that we need to take back control of our children's education. We need to refuse Common Core and instead empower teachers to do what they are best and trained to do, teach. Common Core embodies the belief that we can simply test children instead of giving them relevant real-world skills. Common Core is forcing our teachers to spend time on preparing children for a test instead of allowing teachers to impart relevant life skills needed in today's global economy. Resilience, teamwork, persistence, empathy, compassion, critical problem solving, and strategy. They are spending countless hours preparing for a single test that does not reflect their intelligence, capacity to learn, creativity, or humanity. In case you weren't aware, not one early childhood educator helped to write the Common Core. We do not need big businesses or the federal government telling us what our children should be learning, especially without the guidance and knowledge of those who know best, our teachers. These institutions do not know how our children learn or think, but that's okay with them because they are going to make them learn and think the way they want them to. In preparation for a test they created that they grade. They are creating robots of our children. They have taken away creativity, individuality, and pay no regards to what is known about intelligence, that it is as diverse and colorful as the many people who have it. Intelligence cannot be assessed by one test. It is something that exists across multiple skills and abilities, inside and outside the classroom. Yet, here we are at a crossroads where yet again, children are being forced to test as an assessment of their aptitude to learn. I don't buy it, neither should you. It is a failed idea that standardized testing can fit everyone. You as policymakers fear our rankings on standardized tests, but quickly ignore that these tests are based on poor sampling methods and unrepresentative populations. They forget that we are the top in the world on the Global Competitiveness Index when it comes to innovation, and that we are the world leader in Nobel Prize winners and economic scientific output. We pay highly qualified professional people every day to educate our children. They are called teachers. learn. Do we all know who funded the disaster we call Common Core? Bill and Melinda Gates. These are the people deciding what our children are learning, not us, nor the teachers to educate them. Our education system at this moment, right now, preparing our children for testing. And by no stretch of the imagination could this be considered education or a way to prepare them for their future. In closing, which you already know this, I'd like to say that our state took money and in turn agreed to put Common Core in our schools sight unseen. They agreed to something knowing nothing about it and not spending a moment to consult the people who should have the most say, parents and teachers. They put our children's education at risk for money. Did we really need money so badly that we put it ahead of our children's education? Only 4 states turned down the money, but now at least 24 are fighting to get rid of Common Core because the science isn't there, it doesn't work in practice, and it is developmentally inappropriate. I read last week that there are only 10 states taking the PARCC test. The city of Chicago is refusing. The state of Mississippi is refusing. So I ask all of you this: why can't New Jersey do the same? I am hoping, praying, and wishing that we are able to convince not only our state, but our country to rid itself of this ridiculous thing called Common Core. All of my friends on Facebook, which are many of you, I believe, this is something we've all seen on there. I attached it, along with the quote from Albert Einstein: "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid."